All right, let me tell you a story about two computer systems. One was a brilliant, cheap, and get this, a legal tool for finding terrorists. The other, a billion-dollar disaster. So guess which one the NSA chose? The answer? Well, it tells us pretty much everything about how modern surveillance was born. It sounds kind of crazy, right? That a tool could exist to find real threats while also protecting American privacy, and the NSA would just say, no thanks? But that is the absolute core of the story we're diving into today, and it's exactly what a group of whistleblowers claims happened inside the National Security Agency. So to really get this, we've got to go back in time to the late 1990s. The internet was exploding, cell phones were suddenly everywhere, and for the NSA, the world's communications were becoming this massive, overwhelming ocean of data. They just couldn't keep up. This was the billion-dollar question. I mean, the agency was literally drowning in information, totally unable to connect the dots. It needed a new kind of tool, a new way of thinking. And out of this one single dilemma, two radically different solutions started to take shape. Now, the first solution didn't come from some flashy, big-name contractor. Nope, it came from right inside the NSA itself, developed by some of the agency's own brilliant minds in what was basically a secret, innovative skunkworks project. They called the program ThinThread, and you can think of it like a surgical tool. Instead of just hoovering up and reading everyone's emails, it was designed to analyze the metadata, the who, when, and where of communications, to map out relationships and spot suspicious patterns before they became major threats. So you had this team, led by people like the crypto mathematician William Binney, and they built a system that was incredibly advanced for its time. It cost only about $3 million to develop, and, here's the crucial part, it had privacy protections baked in from the very beginning. It could automatically encrypt any data belonging to U.S. citizens, which meant you'd need a warrant to actually see it. It was smart, it was cheap, and it was constitutional. But of course, there was another path. The NSA Director at the time, Michael Hayden, he championed a completely different philosophy. He didn't want to build things in-house. He wanted to buy them from massive outside contractors. He was all in on this huge, outsourced modernization effort. And this project was called Trailblazer. The idea was to just replace everything. And the first contract, worth hundreds of millions, went to a group led by the defense contractor SAIC. You see, unlike the focus tool that was ThinThread, Trailblazer was this enormous, sprawling, ambitious overhaul. And this table, wow, it just lays the whole conflict bare. On one side, you have an internal $3 million program with privacy protections built right in, and it worked. On the other side, a $1 billion-plus outsourced program where those privacy safeguards were taken out and which ultimately failed completely. The contrast is just staggering when you see it side by side like this. So, with two completely different paths forward, the NSA leadership had a choice to make, and the timing of this decision, well, it could not have been more tragically critical. Just look at this timeline. ThinThread had a working prototype. It was proven to be effective. And yet, in August of 2001, we're talking just weeks before the 9/11 attacks, the NSA leadership officially killed it. Then, after the attacks, when the country was desperate for intelligence tools, the flawed, expensive Trailblazer program was showered with money, just a blank check. Let this number sink in for a second. $3 million. That was the grand total it cost to develop a functional, privacy-respecting intelligence program that actually did its job. And now, look at this number. $1.2 billion with a B, and some estimates go much, much higher. That's the price tag for Trailblazer, a program that was eventually just canceled in 2006 as a massive failure after producing almost nothing of value. So people on the inside saw this happening. They saw this colossal waste of money and what they believed was a totally illegal expansion of surveillance. And a handful of them decided they just couldn't stay silent. These 5 people, and we're talking about 3 of the key minds behind ThinThread, a congressional staffer and a senior NSA executive, they risked everything. In 2002, they went through the proper channels and filed a formal complaint with the Department of Defense Inspector General, laying out all the waste, fraud, and abuse they saw in the Trailblazer program. And you know what? They were proven right. An official DoD audit came out and confirmed their allegations. It basically said, yep, Trailblazer is a mismanaged mess, and by the way, that ThinThread system was in fact the superior one. But instead of being treated as heroes for saving the taxpayer billions of dollars, They were treated as enemies. Their careers were ruined. In 2007, the FBI conducted raids on their homes. Thomas Drake was even charged under the Espionage Act, a case that eventually just collapsed on itself. The price for telling the truth was brutal. So this story, it's so much more than just a failed government contract. It's really a window into the powerful forces that shape policy in Washington, and its legacy is absolutely still with us today. The saga of ThinThread versus Trailblazer really exposes these deep, systemic issues. It shows you the sheer power of the military intelligence contractor complex. It shines a bright light on that revolving door, where officials who approve these massive contracts can later get lucrative jobs at those very same companies. It's a story about that post-9/11 mindset, where privacy was just sacrificed for a feeling of security, and of course, the brutal price paid by those who dared to speak truth to power. You know, this whole thing is a perfect case study in failed oversight. A superior, cheaper program was rejected for a billion-dollar failure. The people who tried to stop it were punished. And it leaves us with this huge critical question. In a system that's this powerful and this secretive, when all the normal checks and balances just completely fail, who is left to hold power accountable?